Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. One more year has gone past. It is customary for us to engage after the AGM. This year, the theme of the speech was how to create sustainable livelihoods and the importance and role of brands. I don't know whether you have read the speech. Have you? So I would like to know if you have any questions on that. If you have reflected on it, what do you think?
Sir, in your speech you said you are pained by recent media reports of corporate leaders. In your speech you said you are pained by
I know.
in an obvious reference to a managing director of a IT company. So, do you think it's also a fact that there are not enough investment opportunities till now in India? So, how do you see it evolving?
No, this is what I said, that it is symptomatic of the fact that there are not enough profitable avenues, that even Indian capital has to go out to seek profitable opportunities. So that is right. The first capital that should be invested in the country of your origin, it should be India. Only if you find that there is no opportunity here, should it go out. Do you agree with me or not?
Yeah, sure.
So even if it is at some difficulty, at the end of the day, who will care about India if not Indians? Do you agree? So if somebody, and real estate is not something which is of high technology that you are going to bring some know-how from outside or whatever. So it only shows that there are in our system, people don't find profitable avenues for investment. So that is what was said. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Yeah.
You said that the tobacco and cigarette business is being under tremendous pressure and the volumes will shrink. So will ITC gradually move towards reducing its dependence on the tobacco business and give more importance on the FMCG and non-cigarette FMCG?
See, I've always said to you that if ITC is not in the cigarette business, then somebody else will be. And if nobody in India is in the cigarettes business, then it will be imported, or cigarettes will be smuggled into India, or they will be produced illegally. You know the degree of drug problem that is there all over the world, and despite that product being banned, people still manage to have access to drugs. You heard during the Punjab elections, people spoke about the drug problem from across the border. So we are there in the business so that least amount of smuggling takes place, that the consumers of this product get the highest world-class quality of the product manufactured in India, giving livelihood opportunities to the Indian farmers who grow tobacco, rather than imported cigarettes that are produced with tobacco grown somewhere else and creating employment opportunities somewhere else. So to the extent that there is going to be a demand and it's a legal product, it has rather be in responsible hands like that of ITC. Also, it has cash flows because we have a very good market position, and we are using those cash flows to invest in the future of the country. I gave you in the speech that we have 65 projects involving some 28 million square feet of built up area at an investment of 25,000 crores that is currently either under execution or at an advanced stage of planning. So if you ask me what we will do for tomorrow, we are doing things that are the industries of tomorrow. We are the biggest producer of paperboard in the country. We are the second largest agri-business in the country. We are the second largest hoteliering company and the fastest growing hoteliering company in India. We are in the information technology business, and we are trying to grow it fast. It is growing faster than the industry growth. It's in a separate subsidiary. And we are the fastest growing, fast moving consumer industry other than cigarettes. So these are the directions that we have taken. I remember that the year I became chairman, there was a lot of criticism that ITC should not be in so many businesses. People quoted from what is taught in Harvard Business School. The consultant said that you stick to knitting. You should do what your traditional business has been. And this was a position that even our overseas shareholder took. So, but we have demonstrated that it is possible to create multiple drivers of growth, and the means of success depends upon the strategy of organization that you deploy. If you should be able to focus on all businesses that you are in. At the same time, you can additionally get the advantage of synergies of those businesses. You would be amazed to know the reason why we are succeeding in creating new brands is because of the diversity of ITC's portfolio. We are bringing to bear some institutional strengths that others would find it difficult to access. And building brands is a very vital thing. Just think about it. Last year also I said to you that think about when you get up in the morning, all of you should think about it with me. When you get up in the morning, you drink a cup of tea. Most likely you are drinking a brand for which the royalty goes out. If you brush your teeth, most likely it is a brand or both of the toothbrush and the toothpaste for which the royalty would be going out. If you're using soap, it is most likely that you're using a brand. After you use the soap, the royalty goes out. Even water that you might drink, depending on which brand you're using, the royalty might go out. If you are having breakfast cereal, if you're having a pizza or a hamburger, if you're shaving, you're using shaving cream or a blade. So what has happened ever since we were from the pre-independence days, because the Indian industry was not very well developed, there was dominance of foreign brands, and post-independence multinationals have come and they've had the advantage of being longer at the game, and they've had the advantage of research and development they've deployed for a longer period of time and much more capital focused in this area. Their intellectual property assets are formidable, and therefore you would find that all your white goods, your cars, electronics, your telephones, everything is of foreign origin. You go to a toy shop, all toys for our children are Chinese make. So one of the points that I've made today in the speech is that if everything that we consume is of foreign brands, and many of these foreign brands do not add the entire value in India, but they rely, some of them rely on their global supply chains for consumption in India, then you would have consumption with growth with no addition to jobs. That is why from 2004 there has been only addition of 2 million jobs, whereas our demographics are producing requirement of 12 million jobs every year. So there is a deficit of 10 million jobs that we could not create. So what is the consequence of this? That there will be people of working age group who will keep getting added to the job market, and there will be no jobs. So as a consequence, there will be enormous amount of frustration. So that is why you would find that people then resort to criminal acts, or the frustration leads them to extremist action, and so on and so forth. So one of the priorities is really to create jobs in our economy. And my speech offers two suggestions from our intimate experience with the rural economy. One is to grow trees. You know, way back, the policy in India was to open up import of wood at zero duty. The underlying rationale was to protect our forests. So if you could import wood, then you would not cut the forest. What the policy should have been is to grow more trees, not to cut more, or not to prevent cutting of trees. So what has happened as a consequence? That wood is coming from Myanmar, wood is coming from all over the world, from Canada, from Finland, from Sweden, from Africa, from everywhere. And wood-based industry, which is very labor intensive. You know, the artisans, the carpenters, people who make furniture. I don't know whether you know, people bring, loads of furniture. They fly them in from China, from elsewhere in the world. So if wood-based products are going to come from overseas, and wood is going to come from overseas, who's going to create jobs in India? The real jobs are created in rural economy by growing trees. If we are not going to grow trees because wood is available at zero duty from people who are resorting to corporate farming on vast tracts of land, and in India there is no corporate plantations allowed, then what would happen? That those jobs would be exported to the countries that grow trees and that they produce goods made out of wood. So that is one point that has been made. And there are multiplier effects on the environment in terms of carbon sequestration, in terms of water recharge if you grow trees, and in terms of farmer incomes. This traditional view that there is a conflict between food security and forest security is resolved with agroforestry. And ITC has demonstrated that agroforestry can actually synergize the food production with growing of trees. So that is the one point that one has raised. The other one is related to food processing industry. You know that inflation on food account affects the poor the most. And one of the principal reason for inflation in food is because even though we produce enough food, much of it gets wasted. Up to 40% wastage takes place in perishables. So one of the ways of solving this problem is to encourage food processing industry. Now we in India only process 2% of agri-produce compared to 40% say in Thailand or in other Far Eastern economies. If we were to process food, it will create enormous amount of job opportunity and also reduce wastage of food that takes place. So that is another point that has been made today in this speech. And once food processing industry grows, and to grow this, you don't have to tax food. So if somebody is processing food and it creates jobs, there should be no taxation on it. So you can create more employment, you can save food from getting wasted, and you can create demand for it. And over a period of time, more investment will flow into this area, and infrastructure will get built, linking rural economies to the urban economies, and a supply chain and warehousing and logistics infrastructure will get established. So that was another point that was made today in this speech.
Enough profitable avenues for investment in India.
No, ITCs will invest, is investing overseas to the extent that it creates more jobs in India. For example, our information technology business, we are growing that business, but it is being grown to create more employment here. But we are focusing on India, and our capital is being invested in India to create jobs in India. And I'm not saying investing overseas is not a good idea. In many cases, it can help the Indian economy. For example, if you invest in a company that has technology available to it, you can buy that company and then use that technology. For example, Tatas have bought into JLR, and they can use that technology to upgrade the quality of their automobiles in India and be able to compete more effectively with other international competitors who are here. To that degree, if you invest with an eye on benefit to India in the short or the long run, that I would say is a smart idea. But any investment that does not give any benefit to India but creates jobs overseas, I would say, that is not good for India. That might be good for the person whose capital it is to get richer, but not good for the Indian society. So if you ask me the question, when should you invest overseas? I would say you should invest overseas if it directly or indirectly helps India to either access intellectual property and create jobs in India and help the Indian society to get better standard of living.
Any specific plans regarding this?
No, we have to first, on brands, first you have to, in the home market, if you are able to compete with international brands and begin to succeed here and be a dominant player here, only then you should aspire to go out. If you are not able to do it here, then how will you do it overseas?
So you mentioned this morning
Yeah. I just said beverages, I didn't spell out. Or I may have said that, yeah, I may have said that. I may have said that. Yeah, actually I have made a statement in the past that anything that can be categorized as fast moving consumer goods, sooner or later, ITC will want to enter that business. If ITC continues to succeed in creating world-class brands in the areas that we've already entered and gets a market position and creates market standing, that is good enough to create surpluses, that it will continue to enter newer areas of fast-moving consumer goods. So beverages is one area. What in beverages we will do first and what we will do later on will depend upon, what we consider is relatively lower hanging fruit and what we consider which can be left for a later date.
By when would these be rolled out? Will you be speculating?
This year, yeah, I know, but we don't want to give our competition this information ahead of time. We don't want competition to know what we are going to come out with first.
Your dairy manufacturing pipeline is quite some time, so is that going to happen
Yeah.
in this fiscal?
Yeah. See, dairy, unlike many others who are doing it inorganically by buying up existing dairies, what we are doing is doing it organically, building new employment, creating new employment. So we are building dairies from green field, and we have begun from the back end by doing animal husbandry, by upgrading the quality of cattle, and improving the stock of animals and increasing productivity of milk, and building dairies and progressively growing this business. So all that we are doing is creating new employment and new income, as opposed to others where the asset moves from one ownership to another. If you do it through acquisition, you have not created any new economic activity. It is only the ownership that has changed. So ITC's philosophy is to do business which it is not, I'm not saying that we will never do it inorganically, but our larger thrust is to create new economic activity and create new employment opportunities rather than only transfer of one asset from one hand to another.
You're talking about entering into the wellness segment.
Into
Into the wellness segment.
wellness segment?
You had mentioned this about the research is on
I don't know, I don't recall having said.
Functional foods.
Oh, functional foods. Yes, yes, yeah, functional foods, yes. We will one day surprise all of you. Our research and development is very active in that area. And I had mentioned earlier also that we've got 3 areas where we are focusing on. One is diabetes, the other is cardiovascular, and the third one, cognition. These are the 3 areas where research is going on. And if we can get actives developed or discovered, which we can use together with our foods business to be able to market products that bring this kind of health benefits, we will come out with those. But nothing definite. In research, you can't set a target that I would get there by so and so day. So, but our inputs are going on.
this 25,000 crore projects that you have mentioned, you have also noted previously that these were getting delayed.
Yeah, this is a very big problem in India, and I have mentioned this at length in my speech today also, that from the local level, from the municipal level, from the district level, from the state level, there are permissions required, and everywhere there is a bureaucratic logjam, and it takes a long time for clearances to come your way. Unfortunately, this is the problem. It's not easy to establish a business here. First, the problem begins with land. Once you get land, then the title to that land, it takes you a while to sort out the title. Then there are claims. Even if you have freehold land, somebody in that area, some authority will say, no, it is a leasehold in my records. So it will give you months before you can establish that, no, it is a freehold land. And then permission, the plans that you have to submit to get their clearance. So it's quite a painful process. This is what I meant, that this new government is also a very challenging task, because to get ease of business done in India, the reform has to be widespread, and it has to start from the local authorities, from the panchayat level all the way up to the central government. So merely central government bringing any reform is not going to solve the entire problem. The entire problem will only get solved if the whole process of clearances is transparent, and that there is passion with the authorities that we need to clear, because our young men are waiting for jobs. Not that if I, you know, create an obstacle, then somebody will come and bribe me to move things faster. Now this is a big problem. People have to feel a little bit for their country, put country before themselves, and put the young people who are looking for jobs. Because if my projects get delayed, those many more people will get jobs later on. So people have to think like that, rather than thinking that by being an obstacle, I can get some benefit for myself.
So you said that the investment government policies are so conducive for investment that the major share of 25,000 crore, 3,800 crore is
3,500 crore.
Yeah, is in West Bengal. So can you please make it more elaborate?
Yeah, there are two projects, one in Uluberia, other in Panchla. Then there is another project in Dakshineshwar and in Rajarhat. One more in where is that? Where you're building the logistics hub?
That is Uluberia, sir.
No.
Bagnan.
Bagna.
Bagnan.
So these are the areas. Then there is a hotel project. You can see next doors. It's coming up.
Sir, are you raising the cigarette prices? If yes, by how much?
This is we can't announce it like this. When this is information can't be given, and when it will be announced, because it will be there, then we will announce it. When it is there, when a decision is made, then we will announce it. I can't make a decision sitting here.
ITC's food business itself is now touching almost 6,000 crore,
Yes.
which is bigger than most of the food companies in India now.
Yeah.
So when it's here.
Press had reported that it is now overtaken HUL's. Yes.
Yes. So when would like to, it should cross 10,000 crore mark, your food business. And
I wanted it done yesterday, but the problem is that if our investments, cannot move fast, that is a bottleneck. Quite honestly, but we will grow. We will hopefully, at least I believe that as an Indian enterprise, we will create strong world-class brands, and by year 2030, 100,000 crores of fast-moving consumer goods business and we should be the leading players. At least that is what the aspiration.
And food business, one, you feel that it should cross 10,000 crore mark?
I should. Yeah, I should have done yesterday, but I told you the reason. We are unable to invest fast enough not because we don't want to invest, or not because there is no resource to invest, not because there is no opportunity to invest, but because there is bottlenecks in execution because of permissions and because of obstacles in our path. It is generally applicable all over India. Some states are worse than the others. So we can say some states are better than the others.
And in West Bengal, it is.
West Bengal, we're getting a lot of assistance. I have to say that in West Bengal, we are getting assistance even to solve some otherwise seemingly intractable problems. We are getting assistance. I think it's a very good sign for West Bengal.
You are satisfied today that projects of your Bengal are moving forward?
No, I am not satisfied. We want to move faster, but from our experience of the past to today, things are significantly better, and we are getting all assistance.
Past is 3 years back and present.
Whenever. That's how you can give the spin that you want. But we are getting assistance. I have to say, I have no complaints on that score.
In that case, in case of West Bengal, you said that
See, work culture cannot be turned around overnight. So there are problems of work culture, but we are getting the people in authority are active in trying to help when they know there is a problem. Sorry?
Industries or even medium-sized
See,
industries.
land is always has a problem. I had mentioned many times. I have mentioned the land is a very big problem, and even when you get land, its title, it's there are people they want to bother you by claiming that it is theirs, and they can go to court, and then they want a settlement. Because courts today, if you produce some paper, it has to, people's complaints have to be heard. So sometimes the records of the government are not updated. Somebody is using some old paper and on the strength of that paper gone to court. So for you, as you know, the legal system in India, the disputes on lands outlive people's lives. So by the time it is resolved, the third generation will perhaps see it resolved. So those are the problems that have to be solved with active assistance from the authorities.
Government intervention is required for getting these problems.
So to get at least the records right, to be able to say that, to update the records and say what is what. If compensation was due, to give the compensation on time. There are lots of issues involved.
Some industries are facing different problems in different industrial zone in Bengal.
Yeah.
And after 3 years of this government, do you believe that this is a absolutely industry-friendly government?
I can only speak from my experience.
Yeah.
So I cannot speak from other people's experience.
What is your take?
No, I'm told you, I'm truly very appreciative of the assistance we are getting in solving our problems so that investment can take place and jobs can get created. Sorry?
When this 3,500 crore will be ready for implementation?
Yeah, it is getting ready. Its problems are not all solved, but one project is already beginning to, we are digging and beginning. The plans are ready to start construction. The other one is still, some issues are still left. So hotel is going on. That is very difficult to say because the job creation gets directly and indirectly. Even transportation, there are jobs in loading, unloading, transportation, distribution. Enormous amount of jobs get created.
Sir, yesterday your results are this side, sir. Your results were out in which says that your hotel business was under operating loss.
Yeah.
I know the economy is not doing well for some past few quarters.
Yeah.
But can you outline, since the indications are that things are looking up?
See, you can see that most of the hotel companies have done badly. If you look at the analysis, I think our business is the most profitable among all the hotel companies. The reason why this is so is both because of the global downturn in the global economy. People are engaged in their own problems in their domestic economies, and people are not traveling to India to look for investment opportunities. But after this new government has come, there is an uptake in sentiment, and people are beginning to look at India as again with renewed interest. Also, the real estate projects in India, the developers also, everyone wanted to develop along with a housing or commercial or the retail outlets. They wanted to also develop a hotel in between in that multi-purpose real estate development. So a number of hotels got constructed. Supply went well ahead of demand, as a result of which the profitability of the hotels business has sort of taken a little bit of a setback. But over a period of time, we are hoping that for a country as large as India, the number of overseas arrivals is much smaller than even small countries. China gets 60 million tourists, and we are only talking about what, 6 million? Or
6.5.
6.5 million. So there is a big difference. So we are hoping that tourism is one area where there is a huge potential for job creation. And the new government is also looking at tourism as one potential area. So investment has to precede the tourism growth, because if there are no rooms, then people would not come.
Sir, just to add to that question, how many rooms do you plan to add in the next 2 years in the hotel business?
Oh, you're testing my arithmetic now.
Sorry, in the next 2 to 3 years, we have about, I'd like to say, there are various categories of hotels. We have owned hotels, we manage hotels, so there are both the types of hotels. Between both of them, we currently have about 8 hotels under construction, and we have about 15 to 18 on the drawing boards. So I would say that over the next 3 to 4 years, we would add at least 3,000 rooms between all categories.
Now, if the execution takes place, he always comes back and tells me the permissions are still awaited, because I ask him, why is it not moving? So, ultimately that problem is there everywhere. What will be I will not be able to tell you exactly what it is. But this is a good number for you to, 25,000, it's all included in this. I would like to know too. Yeah, it's a challenge. You see, as I mentioned earlier, that cigarette is only 12% of tobacco consumption. But the revenue generated from the total tobacco sector, 85% of it comes from cigarettes. So the 12% is getting taxed, as a result of which it's not that people are giving up tobacco, they are going to cheaper forms of tobacco consumption, depriving the exchequer as well as the cigarette industry of the opportunity, and going into sort of less value added and less sophisticated areas of tobacco consumption. I gave an example of China. China gets $15 billion of revenue for the exchequer, and they've got it because their duty rates are half that of India. We are the highest taxed country in relation to per capita incomes in the world, and we are the lowest per capita consumption of cigarettes. I'll give you an example. India has 95 cigarettes per capita, whereas Japan has 1800. China is some similar number. The US is 1000 or something, but India is only 95. So as a result, a small tax base is because it is an organized industry, it is easier for people to get revenue, but people are not looking at the tax base over the longer run. And it is not that the health objective is being serviced, because over a period of time, tobacco consumption has grown. The cigarette consumption share has shrunk, but tobacco consumption has grown. But it is good public relations to say that we have taxed cigarettes and we are helping the cause of health, but the consumption of tobacco is growing. If you go to the Panwala shop, there is no packaging there. There is nowhere to say, have a dirty picture. It is only for 5% of the tobacco consumers. For the rest of them, there is no warning or whatever, and that is growing. So that is unfortunate, and we continue to sort sort of engage with people, policymakers, so that a more rational and equitable view is taken in the interest of revenue. You can shrink the tobacco basket and maximize the revenue. I'm not saying that you should not, actually you should shrink the tobacco basket and maximize the revenue over a period of time.
So, what happens to the 65 and sub 65 category?
We will have to see what happens. No, it will be viable, but it will not be able to compete with the illegal cigarettes, because illegal cigarettes are being sold at 1 rupee a stick. So the excise duty here is more than that 1 rupee. So you know, the revenue will be, revenue yield will come down. Tax base will shrink.
Sir, obviously, price of cigarettes is optimal manner. The retailers are charging a hefty markup on sale of loose cigarettes, and that is causing a lot of extra.
No, it is causing loss to us also. The problem, the issue is, we can't control 2 million retailers. There is a law, Packaging Commodities Act, that everyone has to sell according to MRP, maximum retail price. Right?
Example.
No, I know. I'm aware of that. But the problem is, if somebody overcharges, there is a law. So the consumers should actually take recourse to that law and demand. They should go to the nearest police station and say that this guy is charging more. The problem is, this is not in our interest either, because our consumers are unhappy because they have to pay a higher price. But what can we do? How can I penalize 2 million retailers sitting here? What can we do? We don't sell directly to the retailer. We go through a distribution channel. So that distribution channel sells to the retailer. So that is, it's a problem. And the problem has occurred because some announcement is made in advance that excise duty is going to be raised by so much. So people are in anticipation begin to do this. You know, even fuel pumps do this. Before the announcement, they shut their pumps so that the amount of petrol that they have, they can charge a higher price. Everybody does this in the all trade. People uptrade, assuming that there is an increase in every time the petroleum price goes up. You know, everybody begins to hoard. It's a problem that we have got in an inflationary economy. You know, this begins to happen. People hold on to what they have got, assuming that gold prices are continuously going up. Nobody will sell gold. They'll keep hanging on to it. So there'll be shortage. Similarly, when there is a shortage of onion, shortage of potato, it's not entirely because there is real shortage. It is because there is a perceived shortage. Because people feel that the tomorrow's price will be higher. So people hold on to it. So that same problem is occurring here. Especially if you already tell people, assuming that there was a prospect that excise duty will come down. Just imagine that a couple of times they reduce the excise duty. So the fellow stock will have to be sold at a lower price, right? Then he will say, no, MRP. That's the thing, yeah. All right. Indian authorities haven't sorted out the policy yet. But we are in readiness once that is resolved. Yeah, we would like to engage with authorities because new government has just come. We will look at it. Yeah, we are ready. See, the problem is that some people want to ban it in India. Now, this is how Indian industry loses out. Because if you are not ahead, then you are not innovating, you are not on the learning curve. So once it is established elsewhere, it is less harmful, then you will open it up. But Indian industry will have no experience. So you will bring some and pay royalty to them to bring the product, rather than allowing people here to engage with this new category and let them do what elsewhere people are allowed to do, so that at least Indian enterprises develop the intellectual property. You know, you've raised a very valid point. So what will happen is that here we would be stopped, right? Because it won't be permitted. And those people will continuously keep developing the product. And they will have technology developed, and they will, have more sophisticated product tomorrow. Once it is established that it is less harmful than the current products available in the market, then people will say, oh yes, we should allow this product. Then Indian enterprises will be there nowhere.
But is there already the IPR issue on this, and are they already getting IPRs on
Yeah, people are getting, yeah, of course.
Globally.
The whole business is the IPR business. This is exactly what I'm saying. Tomorrow's world will belong to those who have intellectual capital. It will not belong to those who have traditional assets. Because traditional asset today is what? In Ludhiana, you get a shirt for 200 rupees. But when Gucci is put on it, then it sells for 8,000 rupees. Right? The value addition is of that brand. Right? So this is what it is. So we will be at the sweat end of low value added business, unless Indian enterprises also develop intellectual capital and invest in research and development and produce differentiated products and create brands, world-class brands. Then the value addition will take place. What do we import? We import iPads and iPhones. What do we export? We export what we call software companies. They are integrators. Every computer of yours has got packaged software, branded software, either from Microsoft or from Apple or from somewhere. That everybody is paying royalty on. You can't run a computer in India without software brought from overseas, packaged software. So that is the high-end business. This is like sweeping and sobbing in a highly high advanced area. Right? So India has to migrate to creating a, get their companies move up the value addition path. If we don't do this, we will only be the laborers of the world. Right? We will have low quality jobs. We won't have high quality jobs unless we, through research and development. And this was, when South Korea and Japan, when they were, not developed countries, they also had a similar problem. But their countries, heard of MITI in Japan, you heard how in South Korea, the government and industry collaborated. Today, Samsung is challenging Apple all over the world. How did they become? It was a developing country. Now, all their products are sold everywhere. Similarly, Japan sells their product. Similarly, my speech today says that we also must create many a national champion in India who will build global brands to first compete in the Indian global market and succeed, and then go out. So you are absolutely right. You put your finger on the pulse. You got into the heart of the matter. That ultimately brands and intellectual capital has to be built in India by doing research and development and by building technology, by owning this intellectual capital. It's not easy. So that is why if ITC has been able to, in competition with international brands, has been able to in 10 years reach this far, I think it's quite an accomplishment. Because if you see from morning to night, all of us consume, products with foreign brands and send royalty out. Even idli, there is an idli, don't want to name it, but let me name it. There is idli called McCann Idli. It's a Canadian company. The idli is sold here in the foreign brand. Now idli cannot be anybody else's intellectual property. Can it be? Can it be Canadian? But in India, our policy has allowed for royalty to flow out. So, what can even water? Look, can you imagine for simple water, you're paying royalty? You have drink tea, you think it is. You always, when you were born, you thought that this tea belongs to this brand name is Indian. You ask many people, they think this is all Indian because they've always seen it. But all royalty is going out. But what do you think? I want to ask you, as citizens of the country, what do you think? Should there not be Indian brands? If you go to Japan, you'll find Japanese brands. You go to Germany, there'll be German brands. But in India, they're all foreign brands.
Does ITC has any brand now for which it can aspire for intellectual property?
No, the brand itself is an intellectual property. If I have brand, nobody can copy my brand. If I have consumer franchise for the brand, if you love my Bingo brand and you buy Bingo because you love it, right? Then no royalty goes out on it. But if you take my competitor's brand, then the royalty goes out. Even brand is intellectual property. You can't infringe my brand. But then there is, of course, that there are technologies that are know-how that is you can register for yourself. We have a pipeline. We are building a pipeline.
Indian government should give more tax benefits
To Indian companies to build brands. That's exactly what I've said. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. See, today, if a foreign brands take royalty from the top line, the withholding tax is only 10%. So whatever you take from the top line does not flow to the profit. If it was no royalty, then that 10% will flow to the profit. When it flows to the profit, you'll pay a tax of 35%. So if you take it from the top line, you paid only 10%. So 25%, what happened to it? Indian Exchequer is lost. But ultimately, Indian Exchequer will want to collect that money because it has to spend. So who will pay for that? Huh? No. What do you mean? They're not paying corporate taxes. Yeah. No, company pays only 10% withholding tax on the money that is taken from the top line. But if it does not take from the top line, it pays 35% of corporate income tax. You not understood? On that amount, because it is a deductible expense, it won't flow to the profit. Are you with me? Assuming that there was no royalty allowed, then everything will flow to profit and you will charge 35% tax. If you take everything from the top, right, then you pay only 10% on it. So, tell me one thing, if you are a foreign company, right, and you want to compete in India, will you not bring technology? Will you not bring, because you have to fight with ITC, no? You cannot come without technology, without brand, and then fight with ITC. So what is, for bringing all that, why royalty should be paid to you? No, this was changed only in 2009. What is the condition they want to come to India? People come to India, this is what we call Buddhu Indians. Because we think they come to India because we give them royalty. They come to India because the 1 billion people are going to brush their teeth, they're going to have pizza, they're going to have potato chips, they're going to drink water. For that consumer market, they come to India. Not to come to India because they're going to be given royalty. Royalty we have given without thinking. And this is my view.
Sir, ITC has expanded its board,
Mm.
A for compliance.
Mm.
And we also mentioned answering shareholders today that we will also help the company find a successor. Who will get succession plan or something? I was not here myself, but that's what I was told. Please explain it correctly.
So assuming I want an additional director, right? I will not, for an additional executive director, I have to have one more independent director. Because 50% of my directors should be independent. Now, if I do not increase my strength, I cannot do that. Got me? नहीं आप लोग समझे कि नहीं हमारा पॉइंट नो नो ऑनेस्टली आई मीन और हिंदुस्तानी लोग ही नहीं समझेंगे तो फिर कौन समझेगा आपके job opportunities for your children and your grandchildren is going to be a problem. I can tell you that it is only we who can solve our problems. And I'm not saying we should not invite foreign capital. As a matter of fact, I have said we should facilitate it, but we should not give them gifts, free gift. ये नहीं देना चाहिए. Yeah, make it easy for them to function here, so that they don't feel the need to import their goods. For example, iPhone should be built here rather than imported. Nokia phone is only packaged here, but the phone comes from outside. वो कार्टन में डालने को उसको मैन्युफैक्चरिंग बोलने से तो ठीक नहीं है. अगर फोन यहाँ बनाएंगे पूरा तो जॉब्स आएंगी यहाँ पे, कितने लोग काम करेंगे, उसकी जॉब्स आएंगी. पर अगर कार का असेंबली आ गया पूरा बाहर से, इंजन बाहर से आ गया, तो जॉब्स यहां थोड़ा ना होगी क्रिएट. कंजम्पशन यहां पे होगी, जॉब्स क्रिएट होगी जहां पे इंजन बना. सो वी शुड इनवाइट फॉरेन कैपिटल in a way that value addition takes place in India. The manufacturing takes place in India. But the problem is, if you don't make it easy for them to manufacture here, then they will find it easy to bring it from outside. That is why there has been a jobless growth in consumption. So ये point है हमारा कि सिर्फ इंडियन कैपिटल से नहीं चलेगा, पर तो इंडियन कैपिटल भी बाहर जाके इन्वेस्ट करता है, वो भी रियल एस्टेट में. तो बाहर के लोग को बुलाना जरूरी है यहाँ पे. इंडियन सेविंग्स आर नॉट एडिक्वेट. Even foreign savings should come here, but they should not come here in manner that, that you bring in here and take it another way out. Are you with me? Or to pay a lower tax than what everybody else pays. There should be a level playing field. Anyway, I have said this. It will be published. People hopefully should read it. And if it makes sense, then something should be done. If it doesn't make sense, then what can I do?
Some people will write, after 70 years of independence, India needs government protection to grow.
अब यही तो बात है हमारा. This will be fashionable to write like this. No, but give me an answer then. Where are the jobs gone? We are not saying protection. Who is interpreting this as protection? This is the problem. Is this protection? Who said this is protection? Please prove to me this is protection. I am saying open up, make it easier for them to bring capital. But I am saying don't deprive yourself of taxation by a policy that you need not have. People come here for the market. They should not be given a dollar. This is exactly what the issue is. I hope you're not going to write that tomorrow as a creative person. Your grandchildren will suffer. I'm sorry? Yeah, we just gone to Sri Lanka. We're going to build a hotel there. हम तो बेसहारा हैं भाई.
They borrowed 800 million from China for that.
Chale? I think this is a very good engagement. I think you asked some very good questions, and wish you all the very best, right? And let's create jobs in India. Let's create wealth for India. Let's create prosperity for India. Let's invite foreign capital for India, but in a manner that creates jobs here and not create jobs outside of India. Thank you.